I was having this conversation with my brother, and summary of it was we're just talking about like a lot of things we kind of have now, and things we always wish we had like in the past, just a few months or about a year ago, a few years ago anyway. These are things that if they ever told me, like I would have these things, I would feel like once I get this, I'll just be the most fulfilled, most successful, happiest man in the world, right? And yeah, I am with all these things that I thought would make me happy, and yet I basically feel the same, right? Like it's crazy. And maybe the specific example I'll use is more like money related. Like I'm not rich by any means, like by no means I'm rich. But it's more like before when I was dead broke, my heart broke, like just struggling badly. I used to always think to myself that, oh, if I can just get this amount of money, like what else am I looking for, right? Like everything is so difficult. I can just make so amount of money, like I'm the happiest man in the world, bro. Like, and I make that a lot, and it's crazy because that amount of money to me right now, most of the time, doesn't really mean anything, right? Like, on this very channel you're watching, go back to about a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, however long ago it was I made the video, but at a particular time in the past, I made videos like me trying to get my school fees back, like I'd taken my school fees and bought this online course, and turns out nothing was special about the course. There's no one turns out nothing was special about the course. Turns out the problem wasn't the course, the problem was me because I was, like I wasn't putting in the work, right? So I needed to make money back to pay my school fees, and it turned into this big whole thing that for almost like a year or 2 years I couldn't gather the money, right? Just to give you context, imagine it took me like maybe a year, one full year, or a year, or whatever, to be able to pay the money back finally. And it was not even just that it took me 1 year. I think it took me almost 2 years, like maybe a year and a half, something like that, to be able to finally pay everything off. And it was not just that, is that for me to actually do it, I had to actually like sell off my phone that I was using. Now, just to give you some context, that same money that took me a year and a half to make, I make that in a week sometimes, right? And if I'm really this, like if I'm really willing to push myself crazy hard, I can make that money in a day. So it's like obviously when you go from being, this desperate, like, oh, I really need money to do this, to now like being able to money that took me like a year and a half to make and gather back, I can literally make it in a week or in a day if I'm, really locked in. Like you would think that when you get to this point, you're happy, you're good, you're the happiest man in the world. And don't get me wrong, I am very grateful, right? Especially when looking at a lot of my peers, the people around my age range that also just graduated from school and the jobs they've been like. I'm not, like I said, I'm not rich by any means. I'm not really like high up there, but it's crazy because compared to like 90% or 80% of the population, 90% of the like better off than them. Like sometimes I will hear the salaries of these people, and it's almost be like, okay, they pay you this amount of money, that's like every week, right? And they'll be like, no, but not every, like that's every month. And to me, it's just mind boggling because it's like, bro, I can make that amount of money in a week, and if I really push myself, I can literally make that in a fucking day, right? So, to cut the whole long story short, I'm not trying to say I'm rich by any means. That is not saying that I'm bragging, but the point I'm trying to make is you would think that after getting to this point, like, all is well, right? So I should be the happiest man in the world. Like, basically, this is all the money I've ever wanted to make in my life. Like, I can basically buy whatever I want to, not whatever, but like a lot of things. I'll say probably maybe 60% of, or 80% of things are not too crazy expensive. Maybe if it's not something like a brand new phone, or a brand new car, or like a brand new TV or whatever, but every other thing that is under all those stuff, I can buy, right? And I remember a lot of times in the past telling myself that, well, if I can get to this type of level, I'll be the happiest man in the world. And here I am, and I feel just as miserable. Here I am, and I feel just as depressed. Here I am, and I feel just as sad. Here I am, and I feel like I basically feel the same. I would even argue that recently, nowadays, this last few days, weeks, months, I've probably even felt worse than then. So it's just something that made me realize, like, this cycle never ends, right? Like, this is just like the tiniest bit, but even before now that I kind of started making money, like, I see it in everything, every single thing, right? Like, oh, if I can just get X, I'll be like, I'm blessed. And eventually I'll get X, and X doesn't mean anything to me anymore. So I don't know. So me and my brother were having this little conversation, like, what the fuck should we now do? Like, what is literally there to look forward to if at the end of the day, every single thing we're going to do, every single thing we're going to have, everything we strive for, everything we work hard for, is just eventually going to feel like this. Like, in the past, you're like, oh my god, I really want this. If I can get this is like, I'll be the best person in the world. And eventually you get that thing, and like, it doesn't mean anything. It just feels like, well, I don't really like it. It's like, in my own heights now, I'm far behind again. I'm looking forward to that goal. So my brother said something that's really, puts me into perspective, which was like a motto or mantra that is common in our church, right? So the church we go to, like our slogan there is focus on Christ. And my brother said that's actually key. And it sounds, wishy-washy, but actually, like, looking back, I think that was probably like the best thing you can do, honestly, is to focus on Christ. I'll put a bracket there as well. Focus on Christ and yourself. In the sense that your own personal development is probably like the best thing that I'm gonna happen. The reason why I said your own personal development is because, like, I can add, or at least my own eyes, my own perspective. I feel like focusing on Christ, like taking your spiritual life seriously, fits into your personal development. So it's like, obviously, you're focusing on Christ, you're trying to get closer to God, feed you, like, grow spiritually, but also you want to just focus on like your mindset, focus on taking care of your body, focus on getting better at your skills, focus on being more present and being more peaceful, and like removing bullshit from your brain, and fixing your attention, like just basically 100% focus on yourself. To me, that's like the best thing you can do, honestly. I know this is wrong. This is not to say you shouldn't strive for like material things, right? You shouldn't want to make more money, or you shouldn't want to buy stuff. Obviously, buy all this stuff, but at the end of the day, I think what I should and what you probably should do as well is to make focusing on yourself number one priority. That should be number one, and every other thing can come like secondary. Right. So I don't know, it's just something to really like think about, like focus on Christ. That's the best thing, like, right? Like your life, like this desire is like this fulfillment we're looking for, this hole inside our soul. Like I've just noticed it just never gets full. It just never gets empty. It doesn't matter the shit you buy, like obviously I've not gotten to the point where I can buy cars. But basically, like all the things that I ever thought that if I could buy this, like how would be the happiest man. Like it's like to the point that I'm so desperate that a lot of random shit just comes to my mind. Like I should probably buy this stuff. This would be really cool. But I know obviously at the back of my mind that that's not like I don't need that. That's not what I need. Because yes, I'll buy it. It's kind of fun, but it just adds to the collection. Like I don't know. Like I don't know if it's possible to express it with words because you won't really be able to understand. It's like, do you know what it's like to desire something so bad for so long and to finally get it, and it like you don't even feel anything. You almost feel betrayed because it's like this is all I wanted. This is all I knew. This is all I believed. And here it is now. It doesn't even mean anything. So I don't know. It's just really depressing. But I think the only thing that takes away from that depression, the only way to finally cure that depression or fix the hole in our hearts or whatever, is actually to just focus on Christ. That's the best thing. Putting it into a big bucket is just focus on yourself. Like just your own personal development comes first. And personal development includes everything, which is like focusing on Christ, good habits, mental, fixing your mind, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, financial health, so everything, the full package basically. So to me that's it. Like I've just not found anything else that's like close to that. Like that seems like the only thing that can actually feel this void in your soul.